Welcome, everyone, to Muffin Mornings with Morgan Q&A number 2. And I also have the muffins this time, so I don't want to hear any haters that are out there. We're back at number 2. People said, hey, they wanted it back, so we're here. And again, we're doing this every Saturday. And so I already have questions that people have sent in. However, as always, as you all are tuning in here, drop down where are you tuning in from. Again, as I always say, guys, where are you tuning in from? And any questions that you all have, please start putting them in the chat. But I know, again, people are going to be pouring into here as we start off this conversation. But again, as I always say, where are you tuning in from? Put that in the chat for me. And again, I already have questions here to go. So again, as this live stream, I know it takes a while for it to kick up. Let us know where you're tuning in from in the chat. And then we're going to go right into it. I hope everyone's having a fantastic Saturday so far. Shout out to my mom. It's my mom's birthday. So shout out to her. I'm going to be hanging out with her soon. So I'm really fired up about that. All right, here we go. Got people pouring in. So shout out to Stockholm. Shout out to Israel. Shout out to India. Hey, Adi, which part of India? Let me know. I've been there before, and that was a huge culture shock for me. Indiana. Shout out to Indiana. Shout out to Toronto. Man, I miss Toronto. I need to go back there soon. Shout out to Cali. Samuel, what part of Cali? Lucy, shout out to Pasadena. Stacy, shout out to Massachusetts. Shout out to Ottawa, Canada. Shout out to Boston. Shout out to Michigan. Shout out to Toronto. Again, guys, as you come in here, just let us know where you're coming in from. Shout out to Scotland. I love people from Scotland. Never been, but love people from Scotland. All right, guys, so I'm going to hop in. Hey, Chris, shout out to Chris, man, from London. That's my guy. We've done 2 podcast episodes together, and it's just been an incredible experience. So if you have not been on Chris's podcast, definitely do that. From the Philippines, Gene, shout out to the Philippines. That's awesome. I've been to the Philippines before, and it was incredible, y'all. So it was an amazing experience. It's funny, before we get to the questions, I was in the airport going from Philippines to Singapore, and as soon as I got to the gate, they were like, Kobe Bryant, you're Kobe Bryant. And I was like, no, I'm not Kobe Bryant. You know, this is when he was alive, right? So they were like, hey, Kobe Bryant. And the people at the airport wanted to take a selfie with me because I thought I was Kobe Bryant. It was the funniest thing in the world. So shout out to the Philippines. Oh, yeah, Larry's in here. Shout out Denver. JT, love Denver. Shout out to London again. Sacramento. My cousin used to live there. Over the Kings can bounce back at some point. Oh, Tel Aviv. Oh, Pierce. That's what's up. Oh, shout out to the YouTube crowd. Kayla. And then we got people from Florida. All right, guys, we got a lot of people in here, and I know you all are here for the questions. Again, if you haven't been here before, put your questions, please, in the chat, and I will answer them, every single one. And we're going to be here for an hour. Okay, so I know I'm going to do 11 to 12. But again, we already have people that sent me questions beforehand, so let's get into it. So, Henry, if you're on this call, I know that I told you I was going to be there. Yes, I have been to Chennai. That was where I went. It was a great experience. So, we're going to go in here with Henry's first question. He said, hey, would there be any value in leaning into your LinkedIn messages in a comedic way? For example, using yet just another sales email as an easy subject line, the strategy being to amuse the prospect, even the smallest possible way, so that they take the time to actually read the full message rather than deleting it as soon as they realize it's sales material. So I thought this was a fantastic question. Jeremy, I did milk it a lot. I did. I was like, yeah, I'm Kobe. I just took it. And then I told them, guys, I'm not Kobe. But they didn't believe me, so it was really funny. So to answer this question here, everyone, I'd encourage you to think about how can you add your humor in your sales process. So for an example, what I would do is add in a meme or some type of GIF or GIF. And you can do that on LinkedIn. So, Henry, I'll give you an example. I'll send a video to a prospect. And when I send the video to the prospect, 2 days later, I'll send a GIF or a GIF. Now, what that could be is a lot of them, right? Some of the GIFs are just like pointing up to the video and people respond to that. Or some of them are like, hey, any feedback? And some of them are even, I'll add like Casper, right? And I'll act like they're ghosting me. So this allows for the prospect to have a laugh and be like, oh, okay, this is funny. And it's a little bit different at the end of the day. So it's very interesting to go by in that way. But I definitely would focus on what you guys, if you follow me for a while, you've heard me say this a lot of times, interrupt people's pattern. By interrupting people's pattern and doing something different, it's going to help you to stand out in the long run. So I encourage you all to do that. If you're not doing that already, is thinking about ways to stand out. Henry, in that case, in terms of LinkedIn voice messages and videos, send a GIF or GIF, whatever you guys want to call it, as the follow-up, and that will help you get some responses. So that is a nugget that I would encourage you all to think about. So again, you can get those conversions. And then I encourage you all to use that email subject line, Henry, you put here, yet another sales email. That's another way to get someone open up to laugh. And then make sure that your first 4 to 5 words are going to lead to that open, so then you can get that reply. So again, just think about all these things as you're doing it, and it'll help you lead to some success. Now, that's the first question, Henry. Now, Henry also had a second question, right? He said, hey, would you see any value in giving a 100 to 200 word elevator pitch in an email and then asking them to respond if they saw value and continue the conversation? The strategy here, being able to skip past the initial sales tactic contact attempts and get straight to the root of the matter. So this is what I would tell you here, Henry, is you can A/B test this. You know, I always tell people, I don't have the magic formula. I don't have the silver bullet. I would not be here and I would be on a live on an island, right? Like, this is what I would be doing, right? So the thing is that A/B test all the things that you want to try out and see if that does work, Henry. Now, I'll give you the sample size of what you should focus on. Do at least 50 to 100 emails to test if this works. Now, if it works, Henry, this is the new approach that you can now take. If it doesn't work, it is what it is at the end of the day, and you just know not to do it. I also would encourage you all to try one question emails. So all that is you send an email, it's our first touch, and it's just a question. Now, that question could be something you ask on a discovery call or an impact question. So an example of a question that I normally ask is, hi, Sally, how are you currently making sure that your reps are prospecting on LinkedIn consistently and you can track those activities? Now, that's a one question email. I don't ask anything other than that. And a lot of leaders respond and they'll be like, yeah, I don't know how to track LinkedIn right now, or I need help with LinkedIn prospecting. And that's one of the things that we train on. So now that starts a conversation and it doesn't seem as salesy, and it's a lot easier to convert that meeting. And so that is a key thing that I'd be doing there. Henry, hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if that's insightful, if you got any other questions. But that, based on those two questions, that's what I would start doing. And also, let's give some other shout outs to some people in here. Hey, Callum, I'm ready. Once they allow me to leave, I'm going to come up to Scotland. We definitely can get a drink. And Jordan, shout out to you over on the Periscope. Summer, shout out to Texas. Which part of Texas? I have family that lives in Dallas. And then shout out to Orlando. Shout out to Clearwater. Hey, Larry, hitting the links. So William asks, how many meetings are top SDRs booking during COVID-19? So William, this is going to be different based on how people are going about their market. And also it's going to depend on if they're an SMB, mid-market, or enterprise SDR. So that question is a lot harder to answer depending upon the meetings or what they're trying to do. So what I would tell you is what are the top SDRs doing to get their meetings is they're changing up their messaging. They're using video. They're going on LinkedIn. They're using memes and GIFs that we're talking about here. They're doing things to break people's pattern. So how many meetings are the top SDRs getting during COVID? I don't have that data on hand. However, what I do know is the top SDRs that I do talk to, and they are over their quota or they are doing well, is they're doing things to make sure that they can stand out. So hopefully that answers your question. If you have some follow-ups there, William, happy to answer that. Let's keep the questions flowing here. So, Sahil, how many kills on Warzone tonight? Hey, man, who knows? But top game, I think I got 28 kills. So if I'm on multiplayer and I got the MP5, it's a wrap at the end of the day. And Sahil, I thank you, man. I'm trying to look nice for the camera from time to time. So here I am. Shout out to everybody that's in here. So Wes has another question here. Is the one question email your go-to cold email approach? It is one of my go-to email approach because it sparks a conversation right from the get-go. So it helps me see that success and helps me to get those conversions as well. So the one question email is going to help you out a ton across the board to get all the conversations you're looking for. And it's not, again, that salesy. So you can just be like, hey, this is the one question email, and then you can go into it. So I'm going to put this up here, guys, so you guys see it. The one question email is definitely one of my go-tos in my cold email approach. It is the first touch, Wes. And when they don't respond, I have the follow-up email, and it says the reason for my question is, then I provide the value prop, and then I provide the call to action. And then my call to action would be open to learning more, or you're interested in a deeper dialogue, etc. And then that helps me lead into more conversions for my meetings. So Wes, the one question email, I definitely would try it out. If you want any more questions, or you want to see what my framework is, hit me up in the messenger and I'll make sure to provide that for you. So just let me know. Jeremy says right here, yeah, the one question opener, it makes the prospect just take to be like, okay, like I do deal with that. And again, sparks a conversation. It's not salesy. I'm just asking a question, right? And think about it as a text, right? When you all get long-winded text, you're like, man, this is this is overwhelming. I don't want to read this long text right now. Just call me. However, if it's just a one word or a one sentence text, you're more prone to answer that faster than the longer one. So that's why the one question email approach as your first touch eases you into the conversation, allows you to break through the spam filter, and now you can follow with your sequence or your campaign moving forward in the right way. You're welcome, Wes. All right, so let's go here. In India, to apply for a job is also sale. How do you think one should reach the founder or talent hire so they surely respond and ask for the resume? So this is a great question. I was talking to someone about this last night, and we were talking, hey, how in the world do you get in front of the decision makers at the end of the day and get hired onto the team? So one way to do that is ask the reps how they are doing in that role and how they got the job. So I've said this before. I believe when we go after a sales job and we have been in sales, also if you haven't been in sales, we don't treat the job interview sometime as the sale. So we don't make the cold call to the founder. We don't ask the reps, how did you get this job? And then use that information to then get the job, or send a video to the hiring manager on LinkedIn. These are things that most people don't do. They just go fill out the resume, fill out the application, send it in, batch and blast, and hope they get the job. in today's market, that just is not going to work. So what I'm encouraging people to do is rip the resume. Not really rip it, but rip the concept of just relying on your resume. Rely on the skills that you've learned as a sales rep and leverage that to get the meeting, to get the job. And I think we sometimes as sales professionals forget that we still have those skills, whether we've been let go or did it in the past. This is not Space Jam. They're not taking away your skills. You still have them. So make sure that you're reaching out to that founder, to that talent person, and talk about how you can help. Now, what you can do is I'd encourage you all to do this for anyone that may be looking for a job right now. Maybe you want to put one in the chat if you're looking for a job right now. Maybe this advice is directly for you. But what I would tell you to do here is when you go to look for a job or when you are applying for the job, in the job description, they tell you what the responsibilities are. So when they're telling you what the responsibilities are, all you have to do is follow up on what those responsibilities are labeled out to be and then say, hey, this is what we're going to do. So, hey, you're making 50 cold calls. We want unique prospecting. We want LinkedIn prospecting. You can reach out based on those job responsibilities that are filled out there. So if you're looking for a job right now, go to the website, click the job, and then in the job description, it tells you what the responsibilities are already. So again, keep that in mind as you're going about this process, and that will help you get meetings with the right people so you can get hired and so they can ask more for your resume and you're not doing a lot of batch and blast. I'm telling you all, if you do this, this is successful. I got an SDR job at one of the fastest growing companies in Atlanta from a SaaS standpoint in Terminus. I had no experience at all. I had got rejected from every other SDR role because I batch and blast and put out my resume. And the reason that I got a job as an SDR, it wasn't because I had a prestigious sales background. It wasn't because I was great at cold calling. It wasn't because I had extraordinary sales skills. It's because I was willing to approach the sales interview different than all the other reps that had more experience than me. And that's the reason why I got hired. There were people that I was up against that had more sales experience than me, but I knew coming out of college, the one thing that I had was to be more resourceful than the people who had more experience than me. So what I did is I went, looked at all the interviews that person had ever been on that was going to hire me. I looked up every single case study, testimonial, what this company was about, and I was more prepared for the interview than the people that had been in sales longer than me. And I stood out because I cold called the VP of sales and everyone else just filled out a resume. So if you want a job, you got to do something a little bit different than everyone else. You can't just batch and blast your resume because you're going to find yourself not in a great spot, which is sitting at home and not with a job. So if you take that advice, you're going to get closer to getting opportunity. But again, if you just go through the motions, you won't see it. So hopefully that was helpful there. So Scott coming in. Yeah, shout out to Scott, man. It was good talking to you last night. That was such a powerful call with us, man. I'm excited to keep moving forward on that. But the calendar feature, I have not tried this out, Scott. And, if you follow my content, I'm always trying out new stuff. I personally have not tried it out yet. I feel like it would be too much, but at the end of the day, I'm always willing to go take the extra mile here. So, Scott, it's something now on my list that I will definitely go try out. I'll give you an update to see what it's all about. Again, I haven't done anything with it, but we will see what ends up happening once I go into it. So that's my answer there. And if anyone else has used it, let me know because that would be super insightful. I got my muffins here, right? So we're good to go. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yo, Scott, man, what's up, man? How you doing? Adam, hope you're doing well. All right, we got one from Adi. He's saying, I'm a big fan of Did I Lose You approach, but John, is there something else you can share which works for ones that have not responded for a while and multiple reach outs? Adi, I got you. Ginny, I'm assuming that the Q means question. Put your question in the chat. We're going to get to it. All right, everybody. How to get my muffin in. But so in terms of this question, there's a couple other things that you can do. Okay. So Adi, you can take whatever you want out of this and let me know. But these have been successful for me. So let's say the did I lose you does not work. Another one that you can do, I like to call it the Casper. All right. So y'all probably wondering, what the heck is this one? This one has a 90% not open rate, 90% reply rate when I send this. Okay. And it's going to probably depend on your industry and your region and your persona. But everyone listening, this is just another way to stand out. And you guys know I talk about this a lot. So my subject line is Casper with the ghost emoji. And then in the body of the email, all I say is, let's say if it was you, Adi, maybe you be ghosting me. You didn't like me or something. Hi, Adi. Are you ghosting me? That's literally it. Yo, shout out to Jordan. Jordan, you've used this before. Give him the good word. I gave him advice on this, and it works. Some of you guys are like, man, that's crazy. I'm telling you, it works. 90% reply rate when I do this. Casper, ghost emoji. In the body of the email, after I do in the subject line, hi, Adi. Are you ghosting me? Now, I want to take a step back with this because this is how you can set it up even better. This is where it can get to 100% reply rate. And people are going to reply to you like this. So Adi, and this is for everybody that's a seller, right? At the end of your discovery call, this is what you ask. This will set you up for 100% reply rate on this. I'm like, let's say 99%, right? Because we got like a hand sanitizer, 99.99%, right? We can't give 100% guarantees out here. So if you do this, I'm telling you it's going to work. So at the end of your discovery call, what you're going to say is, hey, this was a great conversation. Can you do me a favor before we leave? And they're like, yeah, sure. I can do you a favor. And be like, hey, real quick, I know things are crazy out here. And again, we've had a great conversation so far. But my favor I want to ask of you is, can you please not ghost me or go dark on me during this process? And the reason I'm saying that is I don't want to be an annoying sales rep throughout the sales process and follow up with you if this is not something for you. Just please let me know up front if this is no longer a priority or this is not something that you can invest into. Then most people are going to say, yes, Morgan, cool. I will make sure to let you know if this is something that's not relevant or we go in a different direction. Now, what that does is it sets you up for Casper. So if they decide that they don't answer you, then you can set it up with the Casper. And then now you're good to go. Because you've asked that favor and you can literally put Casper with the ghost emoji. Be like, hi, Adi, remember that favor? Are you ghosting me? 99% reply rate. I'm telling you guys right now. So that right there is what I would do. That's one tip, right? I got another one for you. So another 2 tip, and actually shout out to Aaron right here who put, did I do something wrong? That's straight from Chris Voss. Another fantastic thing to do because, again, no one wants to feel like they've done something wrong and no one wants to feel like they've lost on something. So another great tip by Aaron. You all should follow him because that one tip he just dropped. So shout out to you, man. So another one that you can do, Adi, and then we'll move to the next question, is put, is this still accurate? Now, this relies on you doing great discovery. If you haven't done great discovery, you can't say, is this still accurate? All right. So this is relying on you that you did good discovery, which everyone here, you all probably do a great discovery. So we probably shouldn't be worried about this. So you've done your discovery. You know why they should buy. You have good signs, but they've gone dark on you. So the subject line, again, is this still accurate? And then what in the body of the email, I'll put hi. Let's say Max just dropped the comment here, right? Hi, Max. I hope that you are staying safe because you never know. Something could have happened, right? Someone could have gotten sick. Something tragic could have happened in the family. You don't know. So they could have gone dark because something bad is actually happening. So you want to make sure that you put, I hope that you are staying safe. That's critical because you don't want to come in and be like, yo, you told me this was a sign next week. And then you found out something tragic happened. You're going to feel really, really bad about that, right? And so after that, you put, based on our previous conversations, I detailed below what we've been talking about thus far, and I want to make sure we're on the same page. And then it's like what we've talked about so far. And then it's the bullet points. Now that could be you're looking to increase your cold call conversion by 10%. You're telling me that your team's not hitting their number right now. You told me that the timeline to execute this would be we're in May right now, so at the first week of June, right? You told me that we would have a conversation with this person to increase their pipeline, and they have to hit that number. Otherwise, we're all going to be in a bad place. So all you're doing is you're active listening based on what they've told you, and you're saying, is this still accurate? And at the end, you say, is this still accurate? If it is, looking forward to moving forward in the next steps. If it's not, let's hop on the call to reassess what is happening so we can move forward in the right direction. Audie, that is one that has closed me multiple deals by showing that I've been listening the entire time and also saying, is this still accurate? Because people want to make sure that you're on the same page and that you're being accurate. So Audie, if you want to drop a comment in there and make sure that that was what you were looking for, but those are two things I would do to get some results. Yo, shout out to Adam. It is bold, but hey, if you ask for the favor, you're going to be good. Yo, shout out to Jordan. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it works. It works. Adam, margaritas with Morgan is too early, so I got to get my mini muffins here, or my trainer's going to come on here and be like, why are you eating mega muffins? So margaritas with Morgan is coming soon, though. We decided it last week. It's coming soon. It's in the works, so y'all stay tuned for that. Oh, shout out to Jennifer. Thanks. I appreciate it. Hope everyone enjoyed that advice there. Okay, we got a question from YouTube here. Kayla said, what do you say to someone who likes the product, the price isn't a problem, and they say, I have to think about it? Okay, so there's a lot of things right here that are definitely going on. So let's go back up to this question. Again, shout out to everybody that's here. Make sure you guys connect with each other here in the comments. We got a lot of great people in here right now. So make sure you guys are connecting with each other moving forward. This isn't just for the Q&A, but there's a lot of great people in here right now. So mimosas and margaritas. Hey, let's get it. So let's get back to the question. What do you say to someone who likes the product, the price isn't a problem, and they say they have to think about it? So if they like the product and the price isn't a problem and they say they have to think about it, this is where we have to take another step back. So, Kayla, make sure that what you're asking, it depends if it's a SDR or an AE conversation, but I'm assuming this is an AE conversation here. So if it is an AE conversation here, make sure that you have the decision criteria. So this is for every seller on the call. Before you go into your demo, before you go into your PDF, slide deck, whatever you go through, make sure you ask, hey, before I show you the demo, before I show you the product, before I show you the service, what is your decision criteria when implementing this service or this solution? Now, what's going to happen? They're going to give you the three things that they are on their decision criteria. And so what you now need to do is when you present the product, when you present the service, mention what they said in the decision criteria. Hey, you mentioned this is important in the product. This is where we cover that. You mentioned this is important with this piece of the product. This is where it's important. So at the end, when you ask them, and this is from question-based selling, you ask them for that direct feedback. You're going to say, hey, I just showed you the product. I laid out the service. And again, we'll say price isn't a problem. Let's say if it's not even the decision criteria and they're like, price isn't a problem, right? You ask them, do you like it? Just straight direct. Hey, any feedback? Do you like this? And let's say, yes, Kayla, I like the product. I like what I'm seeing here. However, I have to think about it. Then, as a follow-up, I'd be like, okay, so based on what you told me previous in the conversation, I'm a little bit confused. You told me your decision criteria was this. You also just told me that you liked the product as well. And these map towards the decision criteria that we just discussed. However, you said you have to think about it. Am I missing something? Now, this is where it gets interesting, because now what's going to happen is they're going to be like, you aren't missing anything. And then I'm going to be like, okay, so if we're not missing anything, it sounds like we need to move forward with the next steps. And here are the next steps. Does that sound fair? And when you say, does that sound fair? Most people from psychology standpoint, again, don't want to be unfair. So they're going to be like, yes, let's move forward with the next step. Whether that's a purchase, whether that's getting someone else on the call. If they say, we are missing something, that means I need to maybe rediscover it a little bit because I haven't sold that person. And if I haven't sold that person, I don't want to go talk to a decision maker because now that person's not even on my side. So I don't want to go to a decision maker conversation and I don't have this person on my side. That's not going to help me in the sales process moving forward. So Kayla, when you get, I got to think about it, make sure you're asking about the decision criteria. So then you can ask, or you can be like, hey, look, you told me you like this. It also matches your decision criteria. I'm a little bit confused here. Am I missing something? Right? And then once they do that, then they're going to give you that information. So that's what I would do there. And again, Kayla, hopefully that's helpful there as well. So yeah, Max, I see, did I miss the mark? That's another thing that you can use as well. And then let's hide from the stream. Let's see what else people are asking. All right. Scott asking questions on Kayla. Let me know if I answered your question, by the way, on YouTube. But we got, what are your thoughts on email signatures? How much do they matter? So this is interesting, Scott. So I looked at a study, and what I found is that when you say thanks in advance, it increases your reply rates. The next sign off is best. So do they matter? Apparently to this data, it does. And I would just try that out moving forward. Thanks in advance is one, and then best is one. Those have the highest reply rates across the board. Something to try out, Scott. All right. Oh, Kayla gave me a heart. All right, cool. That was good advice there. Hope you guys are enjoying this so far, getting some insights here on Saturday morning, bringing the heat. All right, cool. What do you think of salespeople can learn from this pandemic in terms of how they sell and operate? Chris, this is a fantastic question. I had to take a bite of the muffin because this is a fantastic question. All right, so right now, this is a fantastic opportunity to show what you're made of. And right now as a seller, it's about binging growth and not Netflix. All right, so I've been talking about this ever since this happened. I was like, binge growth, not Netflix. And what you can learn about this pandemic is to go from good to great, because what we're seeing is unfortunately the death of an average sales rep. People who have been going through the motions, people who have been hanging out, been the two cool kids in the trainings and just doing their thing. This is a wake-up call, because you can't just send generic emails anymore. You can't just send generic LinkedIn messages anymore. You can't just make a call and hope for the best. You have to know what you're doing. So the people who have a process, who have the right skills that they've been learning on, will come out of this even stronger sales reps than ever before. And Chris, what people should be focused on right now is your ICP's ICP. Are the people that you're selling to, are their customers making money? Because if they're not making money, you're not going to be able to close them, because they're not going to want to buy anything because their customers aren't buying. So when you look at an account, you got to take a research analytical view and be like, okay, are their buyers buying from them? If they're not, you should relook at that account really hard before you reach out. Now, there's studies out there on different industries that are thriving that you can reach out to close and get meetings from. But I would highly encourage everyone right now to study the industry trends, figure out who is doing well and who's not. That's what you should be focused on selling. In terms of operation, know what leads to consistent results for you. What's your morning routine? How do you prospect? How do you sell? The people that cannot prospect and cannot sell and do both of those things are going to be in trouble. Just this is the reality right now. I'm trying to help you all out on muffins today, man. Muffin Q&A. I'm trying to give you guys the word, because what's going to end up happening is that you're going to have to learn how to manage your own time. A lot of companies will start moving to work from home settings. You already saw it with Twitter. So if you're not able to figure out what your schedule is and be self-sufficient as a sales rep, you're not going to have a lot of people holding your hand right now. So it's a time to navigate. And what John has been talking about, being agile. It's the time to be an agile seller. Get the books, hop on podcasts, hop on the webinars, start taking notes, and start executing. So Chris, this is a fantastic question. It's the time to skill up. It's a time to learn. Know your ICP's ICP. Truly know how to prospect and know how to operate your day, from your morning routine to what you do as your activities to close. Know what your equation is, and then know how to study and skill up during this time outside of your 9 to 5, because 9 to 5 is where you thrive. Outside of it is where you truly see the results. So Chris, fantastic question. Got me fired up. And hopefully that was helpful there. Sahil, these are actual muffins. These are real muffins. I got them from Whole Foods. They're vegan muffins. So I decided, why not? Let's try them out today. All right, everybody. Brandon, hey, shout out to Brandon. I went to the Toast office. You guys had a fantastic crew. It was super sad to hear the news, but I'm hoping that this content and the other content that others are putting out there are helping you get that new role that you're looking for, Brandon. And, much love to you. If there's any way that I can help personally, please let me know. I know everyone here in this chat is willing to help you out as well as you look for that new opportunity. Cheers, Jen. Hopefully you have a mimosa right now. Addy, definitely check it out. Great questions that we have in here. Max asked a question. Let's get to him. Shout out to Muhammad. All right, let's see. I got you here, Max. I got to go find your question so we can get to it. All right, what do you think about the QBS? Let me ask you a few specifics, then moving on into more open questions. Effective using this more on cold calls versus setup calls, demos. So, Max, I think when you do that on a cold call, you have to know when to do that. I feel like that's a little bit more intuitive, because some people on cold calls just want you to get straight to the point. I think the question-based selling works really well when it comes to the intro calls and the demos versus sometimes the cold calls, because it's a more transactional, right? All you're trying to do is make sure that you can get the meeting. So asking about the few things, I think that's great on a cold call only if you are getting good dialogue. But if you have someone who's like immediately says they're not interested on the phone, you got to have an objection right there. And then you got to quickly turn that into a meeting. So Max, I lean on QBS more in my intro calls and discovery more than my cold calls. However, that's not saying that the QBS is not for prospecting. Jordan Lucas, I don't know if he's still in here, gave me that book. So maybe he has a little bit more to say on that on his end. That's a great question there, Max. How do you follow up with new cold connects, especially C-level execs? Jeremy, I'm assuming here, does this mean, give me a little context, right? Does this mean that you had a cold call with somebody and they were like, reach out in 3 months? Is this someone who said, send me information? Right? Jeremy, a little bit more context there would be helpful if you want to put that here in the chat. Chris, yeah, absolutely, man. It's about being agile. It's about learning and continuously moving forward. I think sometimes we forget that. We're like, oh, man, I just got to stay here and I got to mope around. And it's not like that. There's an opportunity there. So, Jeremy, I don't know if you want to ask some context here. I'll answer your question. So, following with new cold connects depends on what it is, right? So if they say follow up with some information, or if they said reach out in 3 months, those two follow-ups will be different. What I would tell you to do is this will give you more conversions, is C-levels are used to getting the same type of follow-up. And what I mean by that is bubbling back up to the top. Any thoughts on my note? Is this now a better time to connect? Touching base and checking in. Don't do these things, all right? If you're here on the Muffin morning Q&A, do not say these things that I just said. Touching base and checking in, following up with this email, bubbling this back up to the top. That's not going to work. Now, what will work are these two things. One, send a video as a follow-up. Guarantee you'll get an open, guarantee you'll get more of a response. More people are prone to open up a video and check it out. And me talking to C-levels, they're just like, hey, look, I'll watch a video. It's different. It's unique. And also, you're putting yourself out there. So a C-level is more prone to respond to you. Number two is ask for any feedback. So if you sent something, maybe it was a follow-up on a blog, right? A cold call. Ask for any feedback. Hi, Bob. Any feedback on my note? Hi, Bob. Any feedback on my video? Feedback is more open and it's more receptive, and you're going to get more responses when you ask for feedback. So, Jeremy, that's my answer to that question. If you got any follow-ups, definitely let me know as well. Jen, so what's up with LinkedIn events? So, LinkedIn events, all that is at the end of the day is if you have a company page, you can create a LinkedIn event and invite people to it. That's pretty much it. So for people, some people are in here, they come to the Friday happy hours that we have. I create an event every week. I invite people to that event, and then they can show up, and it's all there. And then they just get an alert on it to be like, hey, an event's coming up on Friday. It's like Facebook events at the end of the day. They're looking to update it. It's not the best right now, but they're continuously updating it to get it better. So that's what the LinkedIn and events are. All right, let's see. Yeah, Jane, go get yourself a muffin. All right. Oh, Brent. My guy Brent's in here. Shout out to Brent, man. Hope you're doing well. Do you have any recommendations on how to find companies who are looking for solutions in your product area? Brent with a great question. So, Brent, if you're still in here, hopefully this is insightful for you and your team. So, one way is G2 Crowd. Right? That's one way you can do it because you already mentioned it. Two is TweetDeck. How many of you guys have heard of TweetDeck before? Put a 2 if you've heard of TweetDeck before, but put a 1 if you're like, Morgan, I don't know what in the world TweetDeck is. Put a 1 for me if you've never heard of TweetDeck in your life. So as people are putting that in the comments, TweetDeck is a great way to figure out if people are looking for solutions. And the way to do that is it's on the desktop, it's free, and it lets you see different columns of information throughout Twitter. And so what you can see is you can search competitors and see if anyone's talking about the competitors. You can do hashtags of what your main industries are. And what you also can do is put hashtags of events that you normally go to. And so anybody who's interested in it, you can just hit me up and I'll send you the direct link. But it sounds as it spells. If anybody wants to put this in the chat, tweet and then deck. It sounds as it spells, tweet, then deck. And it will allow you to then do the hashtags on that. And I know from a talent standpoint, you could put talent inside of TweetDeck, and then you can see all the people that mentioned talent on TweetDeck. And then you can also mention all the people that talk about your industry on a daily basis as a hashtag as well, Brent. So that's a way you can find people that are mentioning your solutions in your product area and people that are looking for this. You also can do the same search, Brent, on LinkedIn. So if you all go to your LinkedIn right now on the desktop, if you go in the corner where it says search, you can type in, Brent, for your example, talent or the keyword of your industry or your buyers. And then once you click search, below that, you click content. And then once you click content, you then can see all the latest content on what people could possibly be looking for. Brent, those are all free things I just gave you. You can go do today. Now, the best way to go find the real intent would you go get an intent solution such as an EverString or etc. But obviously that is going to cost you some money at the end of the day. But if you're looking for a free solution to go find what people are looking for in your product area, G2, you can easily just sign up via LinkedIn, go look. TweetDeck, go fire that up right now. Just create a Twitter. You don't need to make any content at the end of the day. Just get your columns in an order. And then also what you can do as well, Brent, is number 3, search it on LinkedIn. That's how you can find companies who are looking for solutions that may be putting it on LinkedIn. Is this a silver bullet? No, but it's a way that you can definitely find some information without buying an intent tool, because that's what I would suggest for you to do anyways. Buy a tool that has intent. But again, that might not be what you're looking for. So hopefully that was helpful there, Brent. And thanks for hopping on. It's my guy right there, Brent. All right, so let's see. Brandon asked a question. Would you have any insights into moving through the SDR program as fast as possible into the AE role? I want to be BDR toast for months. I want to move quickly. Brandon, so my answer to you here is, have you asked what is the track? Like, ask them, how do you get promoted fast? I would directly ask your team that, because then you would have to reverse engineer that. I don't know the exact answer because I don't know what the numbers are. Every organization is different. Some have, you got to hit an X amount of completed meetings. Some are, you have to attribute X amount of pipeline. Some are, you have to wait, and that's just a requirement. Again, I don't know the program, so I don't know the exact answer. What I do know is, how do you get promoted? You ask, how do I get promoted? And then figure out, what do you need to do every single day to get there? Shout out to James Bodden. I don't know if he's in here, but on Twitter, he talked about, how do you advance in your career? Come prepared every single one-on-one on how you are providing value to your organization. How many meetings are you scheduling? How much pipeline have you attributed to the organization? What kind of companies you're scheduling meetings with? This allowed for me to get promoted from an SDR to SDR manager within 11 to 12 months, and the SDR role being my first job out of college. So I went from being an SDR, I showed how much pipeline I attributed to the organization. I was the number one person that attributed the most pipeline before I left. And as well, I showed how many meetings I scheduled and what logos I scheduled that with, and how many enterprise companies were in that entire prospecting segmentation. And I showed this throughout my process. So they were like, oh, okay, this person has a process that they can train and coach and manage on. We should probably move this person to an SDR manager position. So being a year and a half out of college, I went from being an SDR to being an SDR manager, because I asked what needs to get done here to get a promotion. And then also I showed what I was doing, documenting your process to get the promotion. So don't forget your documentation of what you're doing, because some people are not going to do the documentation for you. You have to do it for yourself and take ownership in your career right now, because no one else is going to do it for you. So make sure that you know what pipeline you're attributing to the organization, how many meetings you're scheduling. Are you doing great on your cold calls? Are your email cadences on fire? These are things you need to be tracking so you can show it to your leadership so you can advance your promotion. If you aren't doing these things and waiting for them to tap you on the shoulder, it may be too late. So Brandon, figure out what the promotion is, and I would hop right into it. So again, hopefully that was helpful there. All right, cool. So we got everybody in here. And shout out everybody hopping here on Saturday. I really do appreciate you guys. You guys always ask great questions. It just gets me fired up every Saturday to come on here and have a conversation. So let's see. We got one from Anna. Shout out to Anna, coming in since day one. Love the consistency. So any tips on getting a prospect to take a meeting now when they said, that sounds interesting, but reach out in 2 months? Okay. So this is what I would do. Anytime that someone asks you this question, follow this exact process, and this will help. Now, if this was 2 months ago, I would have gave you something a little bit different. Now, people are adjusting to what's happening. I feel like you can do this talk track, and you guys let me know what you all think about this talk track. Maybe you want to put a fire emojis or whatever it is. But Anna, this is exactly what I would do. So if anyone says, oh, that sounds interesting, reach out in 2 months. Well, first and foremost, they said that sounds interesting. So that's great. They're not blowing you off yet. There's still an opportunity here. So this is the question to ask next. Hey, I know things are crazy right now, and I know you must be busy, but I have to ask to make sure that when I follow up, I'm not an annoying sales rep. What's going to happen between now and then in 2 months that could possibly be preventing this meeting today, since you said that it's interesting? So by me asking that, again, I'm acknowledging that you're busy. I am acknowledging that times are crazy, but they did say it's interesting, and it's only 2 months. So it's asking that what's going to change between now and then and preventing this meeting from today. So then they might be like, hey, look, Morgan, budget's frozen. We don't want to have any conversations, or we're building an entire new website because we have to revamp our brand, or, hey, I'm about to move positions because now we have to reallocate our entire structure. And I don't know. This is why you got to ask this question, right? Because if you just say, hey, I'll reach out in 2 months, you're not going to have a reason to reach out. And then you're going to be the touching base and checking in person, and we don't want that. So now once they answer you, let's say that they said, you know what, budget is frozen right now. Let's say, hey, budget's frozen. We're going to see in 2 months if it unfreezes, and we'll have a conversation. Then I'll be like, okay, so in 2 months, would you be looking to implement or evaluate something like this? Right. So here's the key. Even though that they've said that budget's frozen, that doesn't mean that they can't take the conversation. And it doesn't mean that it could be something they can implement in 2 months, because it might unfreeze in a month. Right. So you got to figure out if this is even on their plate. That's why I always ask people, are you looking to implement this or evaluate it? Now, let's say if they say, it doesn't really matter if they say implement or evaluate, but if they say implement, you can definitely go and be like, let's schedule a meeting today. Right. But if they say evaluate, you can still schedule the meeting. That's why it really doesn't matter. But this just gives you an understanding of where they're really at. So now if they said evaluate, then you could be like, hey, look, I understand in 2 months you want me to reach out. However, I've been talking to a lot of people as of late that's in your same exact position. They find it pretty interesting, and they want to stay innovative in their organization. So all I'm asking for here is not your credit card and for you to pull it out and buy something. But all I'm asking for you is just to show you what our brand's all about, so we can start building a long-term partnership with you. So when you go in the evaluation phase in 2 months, you're familiar with our brand, and it's an easier conversation between two of us. So does that sound fair for us to connect here moving forward and schedule a meeting? So you notice there, again, I pulled it out again. Does that sound fair? I'm telling you all, this is a key thing to use because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be unfair. So they're going to be like, yeah, that sounds good to me. And they'll schedule the meeting. Also, I took away what was in their head, which is buying. I said, hey, you don't have to pull out this credit card today. All I'm asking for is time to show you our solution. And then we can help build the brand from there. And then we can build a long-term partnership. And so that talk track right there will help you schedule more meetings, help you get an understanding of what does 2 months even mean. And you'll also have an understanding of what's going on moving forward with that organization, just in case if they say, hey, I'm not interested at all. If they say they don't have anything implemented or evaluating, maybe that was just a complete brush off and you found out that person isn't relevant and you can go talk to someone else. And so again, Anna, that's what I would do right there. And that has been extremely helpful for reps that I've been talking to that face this objection. I know Jordan just put that there in the comments as well. So again, Anna, that's what I would do there. Hopefully that was helpful. If anybody has any follow-up questions about that, please let me know. All right, guys, we still got some questions in here. Shout out to the Saturday crew. All right, let's see. Yeah, Jen, go back to LinkedIn events. It seems to bring more people. It's something that's new. Again, I think they're just testing it out, but it seems to bring more people. It's been beneficial for me so far, so that's been good. Yo, shout out to Frank. What's going on, man? I'm looking for more questions. Let's see. Am I missing somebody here? No, we're good. Okay, cool. Max, would you consider putting together a list of binge growth resources you recommend? Yeah, I definitely can. I could send them to you, Max, and maybe we can start like a Google spreadsheet or something like that. We definitely could do something of that nature. I have a ton of people that I think about on a daily basis that's like, this is a great resource. This book has been fantastic. Or this masterclass I took changed my entire perception on how I should sell and prospect. So Max, I do have a lot of different people that I recommend. There's books that I recommend, blogs that I'd recommend. Absolutely. I don't have a list on me, but I definitely could consider creating something like that. And then maybe I can share with you all here. You guys let me know if that'd be interesting. Maybe if you want to put a 3 real quick for me and be like, Morgan, that would be interesting if you put that together. I definitely can create that and we could share with this community here. Shout out to John for hopping in. Mentorship is key. You got to make sure that you're doing that as well. Shout out to Marcus hopping in here. Yeah, Jenny. Yeah, the tweet deck it's a game changer if you use it the right way. It's a massive game changer. Okay, I think we're right at almost time here. I think I've answered most of the questions here. Guys, is there any other questions that anyone has as of right now that you want to drop in the comments? If there's any questions you guys have, make sure you drop it in the comments here. If you do have one, I see the people now putting in the 3s here that they want to have that resource. I'll make sure to make something like that. It looks like a lot of people would find that beneficial, so I'll definitely do that. But anyone have any lasting questions before I hop out of here for the muffin Q&A that we had here? I believe I got everybody, so I'm just checking and making sure. David, what's going on, man? Thanks. I'm glad you found it a valuable session. I'm doing more live streams, man. These are super fun. I love doing them. How long is one masterclass? Kayla, it depends on how involved that you get with the masterclass. I have found that I really loved Chris Voss's masterclass. I watched it in one day. Like, I was so fired up. Like, it was so great, so engaging, so captivating. I loved it. And so that's one thing that I would just consider is pick a course that you really want to know about and then maybe block it off for the weekend. Like, since it's Memorial Day weekend, I'm taking the weekend off after this live conversation I have here, and I'm going to go and watch another masterclass. So I've done Usher, I've done Samuel L. Jackson, I've done Chris Voss, and now I have to figure out who I'm going to do next. I haven't made that decision yet. If anyone has any suggestions, please let me know. But I'm really excited to dive into it. And I've learned so much from the masterclass. It's unbelievable. So if you haven't invested to masterclass, I would definitely do that. Fundamentally, has changed the game for me on how I go about my entire career and sales. So I'm excited to dive into it. So, okay, Greg's coming in with the question. Any ideas for sales cycles that are 1, 2, or even 3 years long? So, Greg, I'm gonna be real with you. I've never had a deal that has gone over 2 years. I've had a deal that's been a year, but that was just due to starting out in sales and really trying to figure it out. So it just went over a year. Ended up closing after a year. But if it's a normal sales cycle of 2 or 3 years, this is something I do not have expertise in, Greg. So what I'm going to do here is just provide some insights to think about. But I also want you to take this advice and realize I'm not on the 2-3 year sales cycle train. That's not normally me. But I do have some insights that you may find valuable, and then you can take it and run with it, since you did ask the question here, and I want to be able to help. So in terms of the 2-3 year sales cycle, obviously it's a little bit longer. What I would suggest is create a camp of advocates. So Greg, you're probably already doing this and being multi-threaded, but truly be multi-threaded and create deal insurance. So we got car insurance, we got house insurance, right? We got renter's insurance. I'm paying all these things, but sometimes we forget about deal insurance. We deal with one person or 2 people and we're like, we're good. But what if you had 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20 people, advocates to buy your solution at the end of the day? And Greg, this is key because a lot of people are getting furloughed right now. So even if you have 3 key influencers and champions and decision makers, those people may be furloughed. They may be taken out at any point in time. We don't know that. So insurance is even more critical than it was even before this happened. So what I would tell you to do, Greg, is start finding end users that you can leverage to get insights about and from to target other people in the organization to create true deal insurance. Now, how do you do that? Reach out to them. I don't know who your personas are, but reach out to them via LinkedIn, email, calls, etc. Get as much information as you can. So no matter what happens, who gets let go, who decides to change up the priorities, you know what's happening and you have the pulse on the deal, knowing it's going to be a 1, 2, 3 year sales cycle. So it's all about knowing the pulse of where things are going, so then you can make the right moves and close that deal at the end of the day. And again, reaching out to those people on those multiple channels, creating those advocates, a camp of advocates that you can then leverage and use to close the deals at the end of the day. And best way to do that, again, is being unique and being creative. If you have to reach out to these people via video, if you have to send someone a gift or a meme, if you have to gift somebody maybe a Sendoso card and be like, hey, thanks so much for being my champion. These are ways to nurture these deals, as again, they're going to be a little bit longer. And again, remember that, is this still accurate that I talked about? I don't know if you're coming in late, but make sure that you're detailing all this information from all these advocates that you have. So if you lose someone, you can always go to the executives and be like, hey, I've talked to 20 people in this organization. These are the problems that they're seeing right now. This is the solution that fits. And I want to just make sure that you know that as we continue to go throughout the sales cycle. Come prepared with the information so you don't get blindsided by the furloughs. So Greg, let me know if that was helpful. Again, this isn't my exact field there on longer deal sizes. It's not the lane that I'm normally in, but I'm hoping you found that insightful just based on what I shared. So everybody, we're at the 12 mark. We still got some people in here. Again, shout out for you guys all being here. And again, anybody before I leave have any lasting questions before we get out of here? Again, Greg, I'm hoping that was helpful in any way. Maybe you're already doing that and it was like more than I was a refresher, but again, that was a great question there. Jeremy, I appreciate you, man. Danae, I appreciate you. You are welcome. I'm doing this every single Saturday. Nissa, you're welcome. I'm going through everybody real quick. And we're good. All right. Again, anybody any lasting questions before we get out of here? Want to make sure that everybody is good to go. I'm going to look, make sure that we're good across the board. But I think everyone is good. All right. So if everyone is good, that's what it seems to be, because I'm looking and I'm not seeing anything right now. So as I always say, guys, keep dialing. Y'all know that. But additionally, this is happening every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. We are doing this. Next time, I'm going to start bringing people in the conversation on the live stream. Okay? We're going to start bringing people in to have a conversation. Now, I got to figure out exactly how to do that, but I'm going to figure that out. If I don't figure out next week, obviously we'll do the same format. But you all let me know directly. Please hit me up and be like, Morgan, this is what I like about it. Maybe you want to improve something. Maybe there's something that you want different. Let me know. I'm doing these every Saturday. I'm doing this for you all, giving back to the community as much as we can to make sure you guys are doing everything possible to hit your numbers and do what you need to do. So again, hit me up if you guys have any questions. See you all later here on LinkedIn. And again, I appreciate you guys hopping in. And you guys have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend and have a safe one.